In the center of Chile is what is known as the Small South, an area of lakes that is one of the most beautiful regions of the South American Andes. The primeval power of this landscape has an almost mystical fascination. Dense vegetation requires much rainfall, but there's plenty of that here. Lakes framed by forests, and in between, land worked by man. The Mapuche Indians once inhabited this wilderness. They were forced to abandon this region with the arrival of the Spanish Conquistadores. When the rain subsides, dense clouds ascend the mountains, across forested slopes, until the first sunbeams disperse them. The south is sparsely settled, and here nature is pure, fertile and untouched, and therefore not easily accessible as a normal tourist destination. City dwellers dream of such places, but have seldom, if ever, ventured here, where lie the roots of life. There are almost no roads here. Small boats traverse the lakes and transport goods and passengers to the few small settlements of this region. The forested hills of this lake district are dominated by volcanoes whose peaks are constantly covered with ice. The small town of Osorno is located on the western banks of the Lago Todos Los Santos and is one of the oldest settlements of the Spanish Conquistadores. On a sunny day, the Lagos Andinos Catamaran is about to set off for its long journey along the lake to its eastern end, Puella. After the goods are loaded, the passengers step on board. Most are tourists that have booked a round trip. The journey is about to begin. The passengers sit in the front section of the catamaran, the best vantage point, and listen to the necessary safety instructions. Our dream journey is about to commence. Those on the upper deck have a remarkable view across the deep blue lake and snow-covered volcanoes. A splendid sight. The untouched natural landscape fascinates one and all. Chile has 2,085 volcanoes, 55 of which are still active. In order to navigate the best route, the captain steers the catamaran close to the tree-lined banks. The main interest of those on board lies in the volcanoes that appear beyond the hills and are enthusiastically photographed at every opportunity. Around 20,000 German immigrants travelled to this region between 1846 and the First World War. Here they discovered a landscape similar to that of Central Europe. But instead of the Alps, it was volcanoes that greeted them from the opposite side of the lake. Here, araucaria forests have remained untouched since the time of the Mapuche Indians, who collected the nuts of their sacred tree. In the mythology of the Mapuche people, there was a perfect balance between positive and negative forces in each aspect of creation. The Earth people lived from hunting, fishing and agriculture. They founded scattered settlements in the south of Patagonia. These people had a strong sense of community, and for centuries the cross and sword of the Spanish were unable to defeat the native Indians. Finally, the Spanish crown was forced to define territorial borders. On deck, people chatter and get to know each other, or simply daydream, and the white peaks of the volcanoes accompany us throughout. The catamaran continues its journey, a routine trip in a beautiful land. A journey through the tangled fjord-like landscape of this huge glacial lake. The catamaran berths. We've arrived in Puella, our final destination. The passengers gradually disembark. A small jetty leads to a magnificent landscape of forests and mountains, and a welcoming sign. Blossoming flowers, deep blue water and snow-covered volcanoes pervade the scene. Impressive nature at the end of the world. Indeed, this evocative area is often referred to as Chilean Switzerland. Now naturalized Chileans, German settlers once came here across the sea from Silesia, Saxony, Brandenburg and Swabia. Here they found a new home in a wild and natural landscape with numerous small waterfalls that plunge into the lake below. A lake of waterfalls, both large and small, whose activity adds still further magnificence. Natural power that is only tamed when it reaches its final destination. villagers proudly display their natural treasures while the backdrop is of the Andes Cordilleras. The banks of the lake made it the ideal place on which to settle. The small village of Puella is situated within a romantic location on the banks of the lake. It features wooden huts whose architecture indicates its European roots. For visitors, there are small bars and souvenir shops and good walking paths. It's a great place for a short break. For those who want to stay for a few days and perhaps climb the Osorno Volcano, there's even an hotel. From Puella, a mountain road travels across the nearby border with Argentina. Nature parks were established and a cross-border nature reserve originated, mainly Chilean. Alongside the jetty, the catamaran awaits its passengers. It's a long way back to Osorno, and the catamaran is duly loaded. Next, the passengers board. The eastern region of the lake is inaccessible by car. The catamaran starts up. At first, the passengers must sit in the open lower deck in order to listen to the obligatory safety instructions. The boat gains speed and travels rapidly across the lake, leaving behind it an impressive trail of foaming waves. The atmosphere on board is very relaxed, with the passengers feeling well satisfied with their journey. So everyone is interested in snacks and souvenirs. Those on the upper deck continue to take in the remarkable scenery of water, forests and mountains. Every now and then an isolated farmhouse appears on the banks. Life in this region is extremely demanding. It may seem to be idyllic from the boat, but day-to-day existence here is a daily challenge. The catamaran contains the latest technology, and the steering is done by a tiny joystick. The mountains are our constant companion, and in between are the peaks of the Puntiagudo, Osorno and Tronador volcanoes. The majestic scenery is quite overwhelming. Photo after photo is taken, although many will look almost identical. Time passes quickly, Only the position of the sun indicates that the day is drawing to an end, a time when we'll arrive at the western end of the lake. Suddenly the small harbour of Osorno appears. All the passengers are now seated on the lower deck, and the journey on the Lago Todos Los Santos has come to an end. Mooring ropes are secured and the passengers disembark the catamaran, the conclusion of a journey into remote nature. On the southern bank of the lake is the village of Petrohue. It features a special attraction that is situated a little further inland, the Saltos de Petrohue. There are a number of narrow pathways and wooden bridges. These lead to the lower section of the waterfalls, where the water is calmed by massive rock formations. Next, a short route through the forest. Finally, the waterfalls come into view. Bridges lead across huge clefts through which the water masses crash down into the depths below. The primeval force of the water is fascinating as it plunges relentlessly into the abyss. Paths lead to the edge of the water. Melting ice from the Osorno Volcano flows into the Rio Petrohué. Light blue, crystal clear mountain water flows at high speed across a field of lava. Rocks in the riverbed force the water to change direction. Foaming and roaring, it travels in various directions, but always towards the lake. In several places, streamlets of water eagerly make their way to a pool below. The foaming mass gradually subsides and the water becomes calmer. The riverbed of the Rio Petrohué once led to Lake Llanquihue in the west. However, some centuries ago, volcanic eruptions blocked the route and channeled the water eastwards around the Lago Todos los Santos. A car journey leads to the Lago Llanquihue. On the western side, in front of the snow-covered Osorno Volcano, people are bathing. Not an unusual sight in this holiday region. Indeed, the Lago Llanquihue is one of the most popular holiday destinations in Chile. All kinds of popular water sports are available here. This, the fourth largest lake in South America, covers an area of 877 square kilometres. Between Puerto Octay in the north and Puerto Varas in the south, it measures almost 50 kilometres and behaves like a small ocean. When the weather is rough, the waves on the lake are huge, and the conditions can make the local fishermen and boat owners extremely wary. Only the waterfowl appear to be content in any weather. The lakes originated during the Ice Age. Their basins were formed by glaciers and tectonic activity. Volcanoes originated and water filled the basins. Puerto Varas is the main town of this holiday region. In 1854, a harbour was founded in order to connect it with the trading centre of Puerto Montt. So the agricultural products of this region could be transported more efficiently. The town, with its several kilometre-long sandy beach, was named after the Minister of the Interior, Antonio Varas, who, in the middle of the 19th century, promoted German immigration. When the German settlers came into this area, almost all of the land was covered by dense forest. Lakes and rivers were used for the transport of goods and people. The first settlement grew quickly, and those who settled here soon realized their dreams of both freedom and communal life. To welcome the first tourists, the Grand Hotel Puerto Varas opened here in 1938. It also contains a casino. Many of those who live locally spend the weekend here, but the town is also a popular meeting place for walkers and backpackers from all over the world. The promenade is flanked by hotels and holiday homes, and from the centre leads south along the bay to Puerto Chico harbour. The centre of Puerto Varas contains some fine colonial buildings whose architecture is clearly of German origin. Here there are German sausages, beer and other familiar products, and tourism has made its mark everywhere. Younger travellers inspired the introduction of hippie markets, plus an alternative art scene, always interesting and colourful. Puerto Varas has an erratic ground plan. Its centre is rather small. Most of the shops are located around the Plaza de Armas. Nevertheless, the small south of Chile enchants with its nature, its remoteness, climate, and many captivating lakes. This land of the araucaria, volcanoes and lakes is a paradise found.